Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Mac and Jack Sports Show as we start your day off on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. We're on Thursday through Sunday, 8 to 10 a.m. I'm your host, Mac, with your co-host, Hall of Fame, legendary boxing writer Jack Hirsch, as we bring you Sports Breakfast live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Today is our big football show. Our other co-host, Jim Jeffcoat, will be in as soon as he's done doing what he has to do here on Sunday morning. He's your other host. Today's guest, folks, we have scheduled for you. We have Keith Angle with the Patriots preview. We have Robert Butler, a great sports analyst that comes in with us every Sunday around 8:30, and Pags preview. Now, he normally does the Philadelphia Eagles, Jack, but we know the Eagles played, so I'm going to see. Now, I know this is the enemy, of the Eagles. These are the enemies. But I see if I could talk Pags into coming and giving us a preview on the Giants and the Washington football team, and we'll see what happens. I mean, that's up in the air. I don't know if he can bring himself to talk about his rivals in the NFC.
Eagles aren't good enough to have any enemies at this time.
Well, that's pretty much, I guess that's true. I mean, it's the Eagles are they listen, they're in there trying like everybody else. Let's give a quick, even though it's the football show, let's give a quick World Major League Baseball Championship Series update. The Red Sox come back, tie the Houston Astros with 2 grand slams. They win 9-5. The series, I said, is tied 1-1. And the Braves win the first game of their series with the big machine, the Dodgers, 1-0. So the Braves, Jack's pick to go to the World Series and win it all, are up 1-0 against that huge machine over there in Los Angeles. I'm stuck in the middle because I said the Red Sox would have a great year, but I did pick the Houston Astros to win the World Series. So I'm in the middle, Jack.
Right. I wouldn't get overly excited for the Braves yet. Keep in mind they were up 3-1 against the LA Dodgers last year and let it get away. And the Dodgers went on to win the World Series. I hate when people say it's only one game. When it's 4 out of 7, one game is important. Sure. Every game counts for a lot. And the Boston Red Sox, 2 grand slams of first 2 innings, something like that never happened in postseason play. I got to say something very quickly about the Houston Astro fans. At first, when I saw their level of enthusiasm in the 9th inning, my attitude was, do they even realize what's going on during the game? There's 1 out in the 9th inning. They're down 9-3. They get a home run. It's 9-4. They're going crazy like they just won the game. Then there are 2 outs in the 9th inning. They get another solo homer. They're down 9-5. You're still down 4 runs, 2 outs in the 9th inning, and they're going crazy. And then when it's over, I thought to myself, that's a nice thing. They're trying to pick their team up. And the noise level was off the charts, even though they're 4 runs down and no one on base. So that was kind of like a nice thing to say.
Yes, definitely. I agree with that. Say and see, Jack. So in our college football update, and it's just the top 10, Jack, Oklahoma number 4 beats TCU 52-31. Georgia, number 1 rated Georgia, beats number 11 ranked Kentucky 30-13. Alabama bounces back, and Mississippi State is not a bad team. They beat them 49-9. Number 3, Cincinnati beats UCF 56-21. Number 10, Michigan State gets by Indiana 20-15. And number 9, Oregon beats Cal 24-17. Now, I did watch parts of the Oregon-California game, and let me tell you, Cal had him. Cal was in that game all the way, had a shot at beating Oregon. I don't know if there is a West Coast, a West Coast team that's really going to do good in the big playoff thing. If one of them makes it, if Oregon keeps winning, maybe they'll get in. But I don't see anybody from the West doing anything in the championship, Jack.
I didn't see the Oregon game, so I don't want to comment on it. I saw parts of the Alabama game, and they were struggling a bit, but then they kind of turned it up, and they showed the level of dominance that they have to show. something about Alabama, they've really kind of lost their swagger. And the way they get it back really would be to start destroying opposition again, winning big, not being in these competitive games. Because early in the season, we knew Georgia would ultimately present a challenge to Alabama, but the consensus everywhere was that Alabama was better than Georgia. And now it's kind of turned around. If they were going head-to-head next week, Georgia would actually be a slight favorite because they have a phenomenal defense.
Yeah, I mean, we have Keith Angle. He's going to be in for his Patriots preview today, but he does a great college football show. And he was talking about Cincinnati, that maybe number 3 Cincinnati would have a shot at getting into the playoffs but their schedule was easy, so they would have to basically go in there and dominate and destroy the other teams, and they did beat up UCF pretty big. But that kind of bothers me, Jack, right? To get, if you're not a team that's nationally recognized and to get into the playoffs, you have to destroy teams. And really, I mean, I don't know, what are we doing in college football? And this has always been a question or a bother to me. I mean, I understand you want to go to certain colleges to go to pro football. That's your dream, blah, blah, blah. But still, you're supposed to be going there to get an education. And only 3% or 2% of the best college football players get drafted into the NFL, not counting them going to tryouts, drafted, and only a certain percent of them make it. Do you think that we've gone too far in college football where we're just, you're going into school, you're probably going to the pros. That's almost a guarantee. But a lot of these kids don't make it, so they leave college, they try to go to the pros, they don't make it. Now what's next, Jack? I mean, have we just dropped the ball when it comes to college football?
We did a long time ago. I mean, an outstanding high school football player who has the potential to go to the NFL someday is going to take the highest profile school, the one with the most exposure, where he could get on TV the most, play the best competition, show what he can do. They're not going to go to the smaller Division I schools for the most part. I mean, the example could be the elite high school quarterbacks. Take Arch Manning, okay, the latest Manning quarterback. He's not looking at the weaker Division I schools. He's looking at the ones that are going to give him the most exposure, the big-time schools. But you want to know something? You mentioned Cincinnati before. To me, that would be the best thing that could happen to college football, Cincinnati winning it all this year, because that's a program that's never really been relevant as far as big-time goes, as far as big-time college football goes. And it's kind of a question of brand names. You take Clemson. I mean, they struggled to beat Syracuse this weekend, just barely got by. But Clemson is still a brand name. So you take a high school recruit. They know the history at Clemson, the players who've been drafted there. So they're still more apt to go over there. So chances are Clemson can rebuild their program and be very relevant again as far as having a shot at the national championship in the next few years.
I agree with all that, Jack. Backstage right now, we got our Patriots expert, and like I said before, he does an excellent college show, but we're not in here for him to do that. We want to get a Patriots preview. And the Patriots got their work cut out for them today, Jack. And let's see what Keith has to say about that. Welcome to Keith. How you doing, Keith?
Good. How you guys doing?
You look very relaxed, my friend. I mean, you got the trees and you got, the background behind you. It looks like you're at some resort. I know your show is doing really good, Keith, but I didn't know you were doing tropical vacations off that show. Oh my God.
Wait till next Friday when I'm in the middle of the Caribbean doing this.
All right. There you go. All right. So Keith, Dallas Cowboys, the Patriots have beat them for the last, I don't know how many games. Patriots are still trying to kind of find an identity, rebuilding, going up against a very explosive Dallas offense that the defense is improving. What do the Patriots got to do to get this one in the win column, Keith?
Well, they got to correct the mistakes, as we said the other day. You got to stop putting the ball on the ground. They got to fix the penalties, and they got to get off the field on third down. And this is going to be tough today because this Dallas offense I think they're ranked first or second in nearly every important offensive category. And the Patriots, last week, Miles Davis, what's his name? Miles Davis. Oh my God!
You didn't know Miles Davis had anything to do with it.
I better have a cocktail or something. What's in it? Davis Mills. Jesus, good grief. Miles Davis.
Listen, Miles Davis, whoever. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Miles Davis would have looked good against the Patriots defense last week as well.
Yes,
I think.
Yes, I think so.
If you got to give up 311 yards and 3 touchdowns to him, what's Dak Prescott going to do today? I'm concerned. Can they win this game if they play a perfect football game? Yes. Have they played a perfect football game so far? Not even close. It's going to be a rough go. But plus, the offensive line's still in flux. Brown's still out. I think Isaiah Wynn is still out today. And the rest of the line, again, is going to be a crapshoot. So they're going to have to outscore them because they're not going to, give up 15 points. Unless they find a way to play the game plan they played against Brady and the Bucs 2 weeks ago. But that might have been as much the Bucs as the Patriots. Who knows? So.
What happened to the Patriot running game? They moved on from Sony Michel because supposedly they had the running backs where they could absorb, a loss like that. But they just haven't had much of a running game.
Well, a lot of that has been the offensive line as well. Damian Harris hasn't played badly, but again, he's had trouble holding on to the football, which is. A big no-no in Bill Belichick's eyes for sure. Stevenson hasn't played. He went into the witness protection program for a few weeks after fumbling the very first time he touched the football and missing a block that almost got his quarterback killed. He's back. He's going to be a bigger part of the offense. James White being out for the year is hurting them a lot. But again, they've got to run the football and take care of the football better if they're going to win these games and give Mac Jones a chance to succeed.
Yeah, I think this is a big game for the Patriots, a lot bigger than Dallas, right? Because we know Dallas already knows. We kind of know what Dallas is already. The Patriots were not sure of. If the Patriots can find a way to beat Dallas and go to 3-3, that would be a heck of a boost for the Patriots, a confidence boost. Dallas, of course, if they fall 4-2, I think they're not really worried about that. I think they're definitely the class of the NFC East. There's no doubt about it. We talked about what the Patriots would have to do to win. I think you'd have to put turnovers in there too, Keith, right? You guys are going to have to get some turnovers to maybe special teams comes up with something. I don't know. But that's going to have to just to get that momentum going. And, especially in the second half. The first half, even if you guys keep it close with a good defensive strategy, I think after the adjustments in the second half, Dallas could pour it on. So I think it's really important that you get a turnover or something just to get the momentum going.
Yeah, a turnover would be good. And special teams is probably the one place the Patriots have a little bit of an edge against the Cowboys. And again, this is a spot where, I don't know how many years. This is a spot where the Dallas has often come up small in this type of spot. They go on the road expecting to win, and they don't. So we'll see. We're going to learn a little about the Cowboys today, I think, as well as the Patriots. As you said, a loss doesn't hurt them, but
I get the feeling
they could lose this game.
I get the feeling they're going to blitz Mac Jones a lot. So we're going to learn a little more about Mac Jones, who's had a decent year. I don't think people could complain about the progress Mac Jones has been making, but I think today he's going to be under a lot of pressure, and he's really going to be in a position where he's going to be forced to respond and be a little bit of a difference maker.
Yeah, I don't expect them to be able to run the football again, so he's going to have a good day for them to be in the game. And, I think they'll be in the game in the fourth quarter with a chance to win maybe. I don't know that I can go out and predict the victory today right now. This Dallas team has looked really, really good.
Well, Pickles has already made his pick. He picks with us every week. Dallas 31-17. Dallas beats the Patriots. Yeah.
I'm gonna just because I'm a Patriot fan, I'm going to give them a chance to win in the fourth quarter. I'm going to say they're going to win on a Nick Folk field goal with no time left.
They're right. Yeah, and there you go. Hey, listen, we asked you to give us a way that the Patriots could win, and you gave us one, and that's all it was.
It's going to be a rough go of it, but let's hope for the best.
Good. Okay, Keith. Hey, get back to your vacation. Enjoy it. We'll talk.
I got to go get on a ship in an hour. I'm on my way.
There you go, my friend. And I hope that you ever see those cruise killer shows where people? All right. Well, keep your wife close, man. You're going to need somebody to defend you.
Right? I'm afraid she might be the one pushing me overboard. I don't
know. That's always possible.
If you guys see me on Dateline next week, you'll know what happened.
All right, Keith. Have a good one, man. Enjoy yourself.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Take care, Keith.
So we have Keith Angle who joins us every Friday, and he has a great show called TGI Sports Talk. He's on Northeast Streaming Sports also. He does a great job over there. He has a big audience, and he's kind enough to join us Fridays and Sundays for the Patriots preview. So, so Keith's on the way, Jack. So in the fourth quarter, Nick Foles is going to kick a field goal where they – well, hey, listen, Keith Hayes says Dallas 30, Patriots 28. So
I'll tell you what people never mention, rarely mention, a couple of inches here and there, a difference makers in the whole season, the perception of everything. The Patriot Tampa Bay game, the field goal that hit the goal post. Imagine that goes in.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the Patriots would be at 3-2 right now instead of 2-3, and we'd be looking at them a different way. Even the New York Giants, that offside on the field goal the Washington football team missed. The perception would be different with the team, the extra game, the couple of inches here and there. But, it's just the way it is.
No doubt, Jack. And Daniel Jones, after that big hit he took against the Dallas Cowboys, where he got up and looked like he was drunk, stumbling, he's going to play. He's cleared to play. He's going.
Mac, I want to say something. I went to a medical convention years ago. I was involved with this boxing group, the American Association for Professional Ringside Physicians. And I'm going to get to my point. They were talking about suspensions for boxers who've suffered concussions, a minimum of 90 days. And then I mentioned to one of the heads of the organization, but what about the NFL? These guys are suffering similar concussions and they're back the next week. And I'm told too much money involved. In reality, when a guy suffers a severe concussion, he shouldn't be back the next week. Yet that's the case. And you pray it doesn't happen with anyone. But the day might come when a player is rushed back the next week. And I'm not saying Daniel Jones is being rushed back. I'm talking generically now. And something tragic happens. What's the mindset of the NFL going to be then? You can't afford... If a guy has a concussion, I realize to say, okay, 90 days, you can't play again. Because then you're going to lose, about a dozen guys off your roster during the year or whatever.
Right.
It's really a problem. The NFL has tried to address it the best they can. You got to give them credit for the protocols they have in place. But you wonder, can it still be improved more so?
I don't think it can, even in boxing, Jack. I mean, they could wear headgear if they wanted to. Maybe that would help. With concussions in the professional fights, but they don't. You can't take it. The sport is watched because it's violent and physical, and the players and boxers know that. And whether they deal with it differently later on in their careers or not is a whole different story. Listen, Daniel Jones should have slid, should have ran out of bounds. I mean, they were after him. You got to be smarter. I mean, I know Daniel Jones is tough and he'll run you over, but you got to think. I mean, even the bigger quarterbacks like Cam Newton, Josh Allen, you're getting hit at full speed by guys that are big or bigger than you. And, you got to learn that, man, you got a rule in place to help yourself, to slide or to get out of bounds where they can't touch you. I mean, they're protecting the quarterbacks as best they can in this type of sport, and use the rule. I mean, you got to be smart.
Mac, we talk about quarterbacks' instincts, but when we talk about that, we usually think when they release the ball, okay? But we don't talk about quarterback instincts or when to hit the deck. Daniel Jones tends to go forward with his helmet sticking out. The defensive player has no choice but to collide into him. Even if he's trying to avoid Daniel Jones, it's difficult. Yeah. And somehow they have to be taught instincts. Like Lamar Jackson's great that way. He knows how to pick up the couple extra yards. He knows how to get out of bounds. He knows how to hit the deck. You know, some quarterbacks are more adept at that than others. And if you have a quarterback like Daniel Jones, who might not have the greatest instincts when to go down, make him into an old-time quarterback. You have to stay in the pocket. And if you can't release the ball in time, you just have to get sacked in the pocket. If you get sacked in the pocket, you're not going to get hurt because they're not allowed to hit you that hard anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
running, that's when the injuries happen, once they take off.
I mean, for the most part, I agree with you, Jack. I mean, you could get sandwiched and you could get slammed in the pocket too. But when you're running, the rules change. You become a running back, and it's a different type of rule then. The only rule they give you is a quarterback, which they don't give to anybody else. I mean, a player can give himself up in certain situations. But when it's a live play going and you're running as a quarterback, you now become a running back. And all them other rules, as far as, you know, roughing the passer, are no longer valid. But you do have the slide rule. And, man, you got to use it. I know he wants to score a touchdown. I know he wants to win the game. He's a tough quarterback. I know that. But, man, you got to learn, or you're not going to be in the NFL that long. And Daniel Jones is a very fast, good running quarterback.
Well, it happened with Trey Lance with the 49ers last week, okay? It was a short yardage situation by the goal line. He's making the extra effort on a rollout, going head first. Yeah. And he gets stopped. He gets hit extremely hard. And Terry Bradshaw said something, you know, on the post game, young man, you're not going to be in the league that long if you do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, but Daniel Jones isn't a rookie here. This is his third year. It's got to be drilled into these guys. You're not in college anymore. The players in the NFL are bigger, stronger, and they're going to hit you a lot harder.
Yeah, and you know, great points by Pickles with Joe Kapp, who ran a lot.
Joe Kapp was tough. Joe Kapp was a physical quarterback who actually would initiate the contact. He was kind of like a Ben Roethlisberger type. And the game was different then. Yeah. The defensive guys could hit, you know, blindside a guy, hit him extra hard in the pocket, toss him down on the turf.
Rip their helmets off. I mean, yeah.
Right, they could do the work. So Joe Kapp basically was a running quarterback. You know, he would give it back in.
Yeah. You realize, again, Bobby Douglas, another one. He's big as a fullback for the Chicago Bears, and he'd run you over. He didn't care. So, I mean, close to one of the first 1,000-yard quarterback runners in history.
Can you imagine that a Derrick Henry type who was a quarterback?
That would be crazy. Yeah. So, Jack, let's take a quick look at one of the games I want to take a look at, kind of preview a little before Robert gets here. You have the San Diego Chargers, if I'm right. Let me double check my games here because I want to say this right. I want to get the right game. I'm almost positive it's the Chargers and the the Raiders. The Raiders with their new coach.
Chargers are playing at the Ravens.
Right. The Raiders.
The Raiders
is what I want to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders for a second. They're playing Denver. That's it, not the Chargers. New coach. How does it work there? Do they play tougher, do you think, because Gruden is gone? Or do they kind of fall flat? It's very interesting to me. Some teams react different ways, right? I mean, some will because they didn't like the coach or because they want to support the new coach will give it all, and some just become disorganized and lose everything. What do you think about that game?
You want to know something? Rick Bisaccia, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Was already on the Raiders staff, so it's not really a new coach. It's a new head guy. But it really is a continuation. The only thing is John Gruden's missing. We don't know how popular John Gruden is within the team. It wasn't like he was a beloved coach. In most cases, a head coach isn't loved by the players. In most cases, I think most players like their coordinator because it's a small group. So I think most players have more of a bond with their individual coordinator because I think they work closer with their coordinator than they do with the head coach. And with that said, I think it's a question with most of the players. They just want to hold on to their jobs in the NFL. The NFL isn't a league where you're very secure in unless you're a star player. most of these guys are only going to play a few years in the league. So I feel, first and foremost, they're thinking of themselves to perform well, keep the paychecks coming in, continue to be relevant. I don't think it's one of these win one for Jon Gruden. What would that accomplish? Jon Gruden's not coming back. He's not leaving a hero. They haven't trashed Jon Gruden. I'm sure most of the players have an attitude. It's a sad situation. We wish Coach Gruden well. A lot of old players have come to Gruden's defense because of their relationship with him. They're saying he's not this, he's not that. And Jon Gruden might very well be a very honorable man. I don't know. He just put out a lot of foolish things. We could all agree on that. And that's a result of this, okay? We're judging Jon Gruden on what he did, not the type of person he is. That's the reason he's out in this situation. So, no, I think it's so irrelevant. I think a bigger storyline with the Raiders could be if something happens to Derek Carr, who stepped up and he's become a leader of this team with Gruden coming out, trying to keep everything together. If something happens to him, Marcus Mariota, the backup, is back now, came off the injured list. That could turn out to be more of a factor. But no, I don't see this as being any factor. Let's win one for the Gruden.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think if you think about it, all right, and we do have another coach stepping up, and that happens quite a few times in the NFL. I can't remember an NFL coach, assistant coach, or position coach, or whatever, stepping up and the team's becoming better. I maybe it did happen, Jack. I don't recall.
Mac, it happened decades ago. I'll laugh when I was a kid. Ali Sherman, the Giant coach. I mean, the Giant fans had it with Ali Sherman. They'd be singing in the stands, "Goodbye, Ali, goodbye, Ali, goodbye, Ali. We hate to see you go." So the Giants didn't win a game in the exhibition season. This was a year after the Jets won the Super Bowl. The Jets trounced the Giants in their first meeting ever, even though it was only an exhibition game. Wellington Mara had it, and he fired Ali Sherman, and they had Alex Webster, great running back of the Giants, who was old-time great Giant player. They brought him in. The Giants wanted to win it for Ali Sherman. They're down 13 points late in the game. Fran Tarkenton leads the Giants with 2 touchdowns. They win 24-23. They're carrying Webster off the field. That was a case they wanted to win it for Alex Webster, very popular former Giant player. Yeah. But in most cases, I don't think you're looking to win one for the coach.
I got you. So, folks, we got Robert Butler coming in, Sports Scope host, great analysis of in sports and all sports, really. So you got to check out Sports Scope. He's great with football, fantasy football, basketball, baseball. He does it all. So when you get a shot, go over there and check out Robert Butler, and let's bring on our friend here and talk about the NFL. How you doing?
Yeah, mainly the NFL, though.
Mainly the NFL. That's your baby.
Up there watching me, asking me hockey questions. I don't even know all the rules, man.
I thought you were in the farm system of the Tampa Bay Lightning. No, I'm wrong there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a little practice in that one snowstorm we had last year.
there you go. So, Robert, before we start with the NFL, of course, we know we got the baseball championship series going. And I just one question for you there. The Red Sox did come back and tie the series. They got 2 grand slams. And do you think, I mean, we talk about, the Braves, and we talk about the Dodgers, we talk about, Houston. They were all pretty much picked to be in the mix, at least. Red Sox weren't picked to be in anything, right? They were picked to be 4th. Do you think there's any way they win this World Series?
Well, they could. You guys remember one year, I want to say back in 2002, who had the Angels winning the World Series that year, batting their way to the World Series. So anything is possible. That's called an outlier. It means it doesn't normally happen. But if you guys remember, the Angels batting they had one really good middle relief pitcher, if you guys can recall that. But they really just hit their way to a championship. So possibly, yes. I would say so, yes. I mean, Houston, what have been there now, guys? 5 years now in the ALCS in a row. So I guess the cheating thing was a little bit overplayed. I didn't think it was. I was actually shocked that they doing that well. But, yeah, they have a puncher's chance. And I'm not just saying that because I hate the Yankees. It would be extra feel good for me.
Oh man! Shot at the Yankees.
Not at the right time. There, yeah.
Yes,
there you go.
yes. So let's get back to football real quick.
Okay. Woo.
Yes. Now
I was winging it right there.
You did a good job too. I mean, you were specific with names.
Oh man! I mean, Keith Engel. We just had him on.
What?
TJI Sports Talk host Keith Engel, Patriots Review.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, we're just reminding folks where we were before we go back and tell them where we're going, because it's a new board, Jack. Stop giving me a hard time about the board. I'm telling you something. So anyway, we got Robert, of course. Robert.
Thanks, Jack. I'm glad you recognize the difference.
Jack,
We got to give Rob some credit, otherwise he'll complain after the show. You know the way.
He'll want it. He'll want
credit.
Yeah, I know.
That's funny.
Okay, so Robert, Dallas is surprising some people, I think, because they weren't sure about Dak, they weren't sure about the new defensive coach, weren't sure about everybody's talking about get rid of McCarthy. I mean, the whole thing before the season even started. But right now, they got a couple rookies that are really playing really good, both on the defensive side. Did the Dallas Cowboys have two favorites to win the Rookie of the Year on defense, and Parsons and Diggs?
Well, I have to correct you here. Trayvon Diggs is a second-year player from Alabama.
Oh, is he? My bad.
Yeah, he's a second-year guy. Parsons was I was really hoping that they would draft Parsons and finally stop going offense. When you have a historically bad defense, you probably want to draft defense early. So Michael Parsons, home run hit. He's back to being the odds-on favorite. He slipped down a little bit. The linebacker from Cleveland's playing really well. Also, as a rookie, Patrick Surtain Jr., you guys remember, good pedigree there. He's actually playing well too. But Parsons is now the favorite to win Defensive Rookie of the Year for Dallas. Trayvon Diggs is a second-year player, second-round pick out of Alabama. Like Richard Petty, the race car drivers say, I'd rather be lucky than good any day. And it's good when you hit a home run on those draft picks, man. You look at this Dallas offense with those guys hitting at the right time. And Parsons, I mean, Dan Quinn moving him around as an edge rusher. He leads the team in sacks. He's third in total tackles. He's only a rookie. So, yeah, I think he's got a chance to get Rookie of the Year. And this defense is good enough. They're about middle of the road. Pretty bad against the pass still overall. But with that offense clicking, I actually expect these 10 to roll today. I mean, I think the Vegas has gotten way too much respect for Belichick, making it only a 3 to 3.5 point spread, by the way.
Yeah, that surprised me big time.
Yeah.
Unless they know something we don't. I mean, right. I don't know. But I mean, Belichick's record against the Cowboys is very impressive. That's for sure if you look at the past. But unless they can find a way to stop that offense, and maybe Belichick can, because what he did against Tampa, maybe they think he can. That was very low to me too. I didn't understand that. Maybe they think that Patriot fans will go with the Patriots anyway. I don't know, but anyway, it's a great point with that. So a lot of people pick Tampa Bay and of course Kansas City to be favorites to go back to the Super Bowl. And of course, we see the Chiefs are having major problems over there. They're last in their conference, so they got a long way to go before they get it together. And even Tampa Bay, I looked at their schedule, Robert. Yeah. Their wins really aren't that impressive, and their schedule is not that impressive either if you look at the teams they're playing against. I mean, what really good team have they beaten? I don't see one. I mean, and if you look at a few of those games where they played the Patriots, and they played a couple. They could have lost those games as easily as won it. So is Tampa Bay? I mean, I know you got to win the games, whoever you play. But are we putting too much in Tampa Bay? Is Tampa Bay really better than the Rams? Are they really better than the Cardinals? Are they really better than Green Bay? I mean, I got to see them win a big game here against a good team.
Well, you guys got to recall, I looked this up too. Last year, at the end of the season, even when they got hot, their defense was ranked 21st in the league, and they went on to win the Super Bowl. Last year, at times, they were blown out, giving up 35 points. They're still ninth in total points allowed this year, so they're really not that bad. It's just against the pass. They've had problems in the secondary. I know that Sherman's been hurt, and he's new, but also they've got this guy, Carlton
Davis.
Yeah, he's going to come back from the concussion. So I think they'll get it together. And, hey, we're just talking about Dallas, guys. Dallas can go pretty far. They beat Dallas in the opening week, and Dallas is a powerhouse when it comes to offense. I think they'll tighten it up. As far as Kansas City, I didn't pick them to get back to the Super Bowl. Chris Jones is out again today. I think they'll play well and beat Washington. But you look at that division, particularly with the Chargers there, I think they're going to be in trouble. I just don't see them fixing everything. And with their line issues, now Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they don't really have a true running game in Kansas City. I think Kansas City's in trouble. They might not make the playoffs. I could see them putting together a run, though, and getting a wild card spot. But I'm okay with Tampa. I mean, as far as Arizona, I mean, they got a boatload of problems today, including an injury by Kyler Murray that I just found out about a day or so ago. He only run for 1 yard last week. Apparently, he's dealing with an injury issue. Their center's out. They got a COVID issue. Chandler Jones is going to be out today. I know it's just one game, but still, I'm not ready to put Arizona in it just yet as far as being that big, heavy favorite. I was about a week ago, but things can change, man. Hold on, guys. I can't hear you.
The Rams.
I got you.
The Rams really dominated Tampa Bay. It wasn't even that close to me. And I mean, Dallas, like you said, Green Bay. I mean, listen, they might have beat Dallas, but that was early. I want to see them. I want to see them win against a legitimate team and do well against them before I start saying Tampa Bay is going back to the Super Bowl.
Mac, but consider this, Tampa Bay is different from the rest of the NFL teams. They know they're going to the playoffs. It's a question of peaking for the playoffs. Look, during the regular season last year, they were 7-5 at one point, and then they won their last 4 of the regular season, then went on the playoff run. But they lost their 2 head-to-head matchups with the New Orleans Saints. And then they play the Saints in the playoffs and beat them. I think that's a veteran team. They know what it takes. There's not an urgency necessarily for them to play their best football right now. It has to be just good enough. They're 4-1. They're playing good enough to win right now. And it's a question of getting it all together, and then by the end of the year, making that final push. It doesn't matter who's the best team right now. It matters who's the best at the end of the year. Rob makes a good point, though. With a team like Kansas City, they might not even make the playoffs. They're going to have to push pretty hard to get a wild card slot, so they don't have the novelty of thinking we're going to peak for the playoffs. I mean, just getting there is going to be a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, I do understand what you're saying, Jack. What I don't get, though, about the Buccaneers, all right, they're playing the Bears. They play the Saints, the Washington football team, the Giants, the Colts, the Falcons. Their real first game is against the Bills coming up next. Then they play the Saints, the Panthers, the Jets, the Panthers again. I mean, what kind of schedule is that for a Super Bowl?
Matt, they're 5-1 now, the Tampa Bay. And no one's going to catch them in their division. Carolina.
That's not what I'm saying, Jack. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying normally the best team gets the hardest schedules from what I understand. That is far from the hardest schedule in football.
Mac, it's the 31st ranked. That's why I put money on them to get the best record in the NFC. It's 31st. Only team with the easier schedule coming in was Philadelphia.
I agree. What is that? I mean, what kind of schedule is that?
Roger Goodell, what are you thinking?
Oh my God,
I hated it, man. When I looked at it months ago.
Oh man, well, I'm coming late to the party.
Listen, when the schedule's made up, I hate when people say, oh, a team has an easy schedule. You never know how the teams are going to be as the year progresses. If anyone saw the Kansas City Chiefs on their schedule at the start of the year, they figure, oh, what a tough game. But the way the Chiefs are playing now, it's not the same. They might not be looking at the Chiefs as being as tough as they anticipated.
Well, let's welcome into the show our other co-host that comes in on Sundays. We caught him studying as he always does, so he's ready for Jack. Jim Jeffcoat's in.
Jim has a different ritual in retirement. He used to have his ritual, I'm sure, Sundays when he played. I'd love for him to explain one day how it's changed, in retirement as opposed to playing. His Sunday morning ritual.
We'll get to that, Jack, but he's right. I was preparing for you because I got to be on my game to battle with you. So,
hey, Jim, real quick, we were talking to Robert, right? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the best team in football, right? They're number one. They're Super Bowl champs, and they have the easiest schedule I've ever seen for a first-place team. They're playing a bunch of nobodies. What is that? How's that parity? How is that being fair in the NFL?
But they didn't make the schedule. They did not make the schedule. And it's kind of funny because everybody's going to criticize them for who they play. They got to play whoever's on their schedule.
I agree.
That's not their fault.
I know it's not their fault. That's the NFL's fault.
Unfortunately, the NFC South is not that difficult this year. So that helps. But, yeah, you're right. In Philadelphia, yeah, they're not a great team. They haven't really. It's the same thing with Dallas. Look who's Dallas is playing, And that's the thing. Dallas is not playing difficult teams. And they have the same thing. Before the season, they already said that Dallas had, I think, was the 30th or 32nd hardest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And to look at that, Washington has a difficult schedule, the Washington football team, and they have a first place schedule. Unfortunately, Tampa Bay doesn't, but they play who they play, and somebody's got to beat them.
That's true. Robert, let's get
Dallas did hold the Chargers to 17. I mean, you got to give them credit there. I mean, because they scored 47 on Cleveland. I was so high on Cleveland.
Yeah, we are, but I just don't trust Baker Mayfield yet. I'm like you, Robert. I was high on Cleveland.
42 points. I don't care whether he's closing the game out or not at that point. Give me 42 points, and the guy could be taking a nap on the sideline at the end of the game. I mean, that's on the defense, not on Baker Mayfield. You're protecting the defensive guys here.
It's a different era, Jack. Yeah, you just got to do the things to help your team win. Sometimes, if you can control the ball, they got a great running game with Chubbs and Hunt to control the ball and shorten the game. Sometimes you got to do that, Jack. You have to shorten the game.
It's true, but I get Jack's point too. That's on you can't let a team score, 47 points on you. That's ridiculous. That was a terrible job by the Browns defense. I got to agree with Jack.
I would agree, but here's the thing: is the Chargers, and I got to say this: Jack was the only one that really was high on the Chargers. I thought Justin Herbert was a good quarterback, but I didn't think he was that good. And the Chargers are scary with some of the personnel that they have.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be
should have been your Cowboys, but they had a couple of questionable calls that went against them where a couple of touchdowns didn't count. But
Jack, you're still in London. I'm not listening to you today. You're still in
London. So Robert,
yeah,
there's a bunch of bad teams out there. I guess you shouldn't call them bad. They're just not playing well.
Yeah.
But are the Falcons the worst team out there? I looked at their schedule. There's only one or two that they got blown out. Most games they're in it to the end, and they do have 2 wins. What do you think? Do you think maybe the Falcons are good? They're just not at the level of some of the other teams, or maybe some bad breaks? I mean, we thought the Falcons. Everybody looked at the Falcons and said, they may be the worst team in football. They're playing pretty well.
Well, they beat a Giants team that does not play well at home. And they beat the Jets team in another country in London. So my best 2 and 3 team is the Steelers, actually. Did you guys see that rushing attack that they put? I mean, if they could emulate that, 100+ yards, 23 carries for Najee Harris last week. TJ Watt seems to be coming back. That growing's not really bothering him that bad. Mika Fitzpatrick in that secondary, making all kinds of tackles all over the field. I wrote this team for dead about 2 weeks ago. You can call it luck or whatever, but they did beat Buffalo. If they get it all going right and keep that and stay focused on that running game. By the way, Deontay Johnson, man, he is that wide receiver there is having a breakout year. We get caught up in the negative and the Aaron Rodgers talk of going to Pittsburgh and Ben Roethlisberger's dead man walking and should have retired yesterday. But quite frankly, that was a pretty impressive win there last week.
Yeah,
they still got pieces for being a 2-3 team. I'm not putting them in. Super
Right. We'll say the best of the worst.
Big Ben is.
But Robert, everybody said Matt Ryan was past, which he is on the downside of his career. But the guy is playing pretty good, and the tight end finally showed up.
Kyle Pitts,
Pitts,
and those things that helped him. And I don't know, they seem like they're getting you. I heard you guys talking about it. There's a team that's getting better as the season progresses, which is good for them. And I think they have excellent coaching. I think they have really good coaching.
Yeah, Dean Pease has done a decent job considering the lack of pieces they have on defense there. Arthur Smith, he's our former offensive coordinator here at Tennessee. Cordell Patterson's been in the league for years, guys. Man, he's making this guy one of those all-purpose Tyreek Hill type of players, using him as a running back.
Yes.
Very clever coaching there, doing much with less is what I would say that Atlanta's doing.
Well, you think about it, guys. They play Miami today. Miami's no powerhouse this year. Everybody thought they were going to be. They win that, they're 500. They're not out of it, man. I mean, listen. I thought the Falcons were going to really have problems this year, and their record reflects that they are.
Jacksonville plays Miami today in the game in England.
Yeah, Jacksonville.
What the heck?
I think they're off this week.
What am I looking at?
The Falcons have a bye, I believe.
Yes, that's right. That's right. They got that week off.
I just want to say something about the Steelers, just backtrack. The word is that Big Ben, who's been known to get in players' faces on his team, was kind of getting into it with Najee Harris, kind of giving it to him. Najee Harris, their running back, is a rookie. I mean, is that a wise thing to do? A legendary quarterback, a guy who's going to go to the Hall of Fame, Ben Roethlisberger, get on a rookie? Could that help more or hurt more?
Go ahead, Jeff.
I think it'll hurt more. The reason I say it's going to hurt more is because I had a friend who was a quarterback at Pittsburgh, and Ben is like that with young players. He's always like that with the young players. But you turn them against you instead of helping. You got to help young players because they're new to the league. And I don't say you got to baby them and you got to tell them when they're wrong, but there's a way to tell them they're wrong as opposed to beating them up. Because it is difficult, especially at the running back position these days, the way these defenses play. And they're geared up for certain things, but you got to pick Najee Harris up, correct him, but tell him what's wrong. Don't yell and scream at him because you need him. When he's successful, you're going to be successful, especially in Ben's case. He needs a running game. He really needs a running game.
And he's head and shoulders above those other running backs, I think, guys. Benny Snell, I thought he was going to be a big breakout player, and Harris has really emerged there. He's living up to that talent expectations that Pittsburgh had. Draft him in the first round.
Yeah. Well, Ben's been known to go after players. He's done that a couple times. After games and stuff. I've seen him.
He drove Antonio Brown out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Antonio Brown drove himself out of town, Jack. He drove himself out of anywhere.
I have to agree with Jack on this. I think.
Oh, come on, Jim. Come on. Really Brown.
Because you see, Brown is playing pretty well. Brady knows how to work him and get him.
Yeah, he takes him into the house. He brings him into his house and then lives with him. That's how he controls the dude. I mean, come on. I mean, the dude was out of his mind.
Brady's not controlling him. Giselle is controlling him because she controls Brady.
Well, listen, I don't even want to go there, Jim. That opens a whole new can of worms. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about Carson Wentz for a minute, okay?
Yeah.
Carson Wentz, as you know, he was a promising young quarterback from what they said. He's always had a soap opera wherever he's been. He gets hurt. Foles comes in. They go to Super Bowl. Carson has confidence issues. He doesn't get along with his teammates. Doesn't get along with the coach. He goes to Indianapolis to his old coach. He's injured. Do you ever think Carson Wentz will get himself together? I mean, I seen it go either way, right, Robert? I seen where Jim Plunkett brought himself back together when he was with the Raiders. I also seen it go the other way, right? You know, if you look at Jay Cutler, who was supposed to be the next greatest quarterback ever, and he kind of fell by the wayside. What do you think is going to happen with Carson?
Well, guys, Carson Palmer looked terrible with the Raiders. And then when he went to Arizona, he has this regular, new life and football. Carson Wentz, I looked in his numbers. He's not that bad. He's got one interception for the whole season. That's tied for first in the league, 65% completion percentage. They've had multiple offensive linemen injured, including Quentin Nelson. They've had the worst start. You talk about a rough schedule. I talked about this back in April. These were teams that went to the playoffs last year. They had the hardest 5-game stretch coming in without any injuries. Plus, he's been injured. So he's played better. And I'm no Carson Wentz fan, but he's played better than probably we're giving him credit for. They should have won. They blew a 22-6 lead at Baltimore. That was all on the defense, guys. That was all. They just could not do nothing with Lamar Jackson, and he's playing at a high level as well. But I'm not ready to write him off as a complete bust being Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
we still got a lot of football. They may catch Tennessee because Tennessee's very up and down and win this division.
Rob, they're 1-4, so I wouldn't worry about them catching anyone. They should just, win a game here and there. I think with Carson Wentz, as I've mentioned in the past, of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, he's first and foremost a rehabilitation project. Normally, guys get rehabilitated physically. Carson Wentz, it's emotionally. How long can you rehabilitate a quarterback, mentally? I mean, if he's that fragile, he's not the guy for the job.
Man, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but I'll say this.
But you play one on TV.
Give it the rest of the season.
But he's got to be a leader. You're looking at your quarterback as a leader.
Yeah.
And if Frank Reich is babying Carson Wentz, how's the rest of the Indianapolis Colts football team? What do they look for leadership? I mean, it's.
But, Jack, I think when you look at quarterbacks, they're similar to cornerbacks. And you say, what do you mean? Well, what I mean is that they have to have a tough skin because they're in a
short
tough
memory,
position. And they do. They have to have a short memory because they're going to make mistakes. But you have to have enough of confidence in your abilities to recover from that mistake. I think quarterbacks have to be that. The great quarterbacks think they're going to get a touchdown every play. And they make a mistake. They made a good play. I'm coming back. I'm going to make the play next time. I'm going to get it. That's what you see in the really great ones, the Tom Brady's. We know Tom Brady makes mistakes, but we know Tom Brady also makes great plays. Everybody makes mistakes. It's how you recover from those mistakes, and the great ones know how to recover.
But Jim, doesn't their team? Let me just ask one thing. Doesn't the team pick up on body language if Carson Wentz is playing poorly and he's sitting on the bench by himself and sulking? You'd think the other players pick up on it as opposed to a Tom Brady. If he makes a bad play, his body language is still in the game.
It's funny how you say that. It's certain quarterbacks, certain way. I was looking at a little, really a shortcut of Peyton Manning. And Peyton Manning was telling the center, he said, hey, because the center said, we need to run the ball. He said, you just play center. I run this offense.
There you go. There you go.
That's what leaders do. They take control. You don't sit over here and insult. You let everybody know, hey, I'm taking command of this. Follow me. I'll never forget one day on Sunday, we were on Monday Night Football playing against the New Orleans Saints. God rest his soul, Kenny Stabler, in the end of his career, we were playing him. And Randy White comes up to the defensive line and said, hey, I'm getting tired of this game. I'm going to sack the quarterback. One of you guys get the fumble. Sure enough, the next play, he breaks through, sacks the quarterback. I grabbed the fumble and in the game there. Those guys are unique because they know they have confidence in themselves. They're not going to sit over and sulk. They're going to find a way to get it done. And that's what he has to do. He has to show everybody, hey, the only thing that happens is the clock might run out, but we're going to be in every game.
There you go. So
and
Robert,
they've been competitive. I'm not a big Carson Wentz guy. They've been competitive every game.
Yes. Well, they were. Listen. The Colts have a decent defense and a good solid team. I don't think too many quarterbacks would fail with the Colts. They brought Wentz in because they thought he would bring them to the next level. Is why they brought him there. Not to be 1-4. I guarantee you that. Well, Robert, we're gonna let you go, my friend. Okay. It's been great visiting with you again. Always great having you on with your commentary and your sense of humor. And I love the shirt and tie, and you know that. So you have a great day. Tennessee, I don't know. We'll find out, Robert. It seems like you guys are in a weak division. I'm just saying.
Well, I think they'll lose against Buffalo. But
well, there you go. What kind of fan is that?
They may keep it within the point spread.
All right, there you go. That's now you're talking. All right, folks. Thanks to Robert Butler. Check him out on sports.
Take care, Rob.
Everywhere on social media. Have a great day, Robert.
Hey, guys. Have a good show.
Great seeing you, Robert.
See you guys.
So there you go, folks. Robert Butler, and we're going to take our first break today, guys. We'll be back on the other side. We get the Pags preview hopefully coming in. He's going to preview the enemy. I can't wait to see this one if he does come in. Oh, yeah, that's going to be great. So, folks, stick around. We'll be right back. We got a lot more show to bring you as long as I can find on my new board here where everything's at. And this is always the trouble. And guess what? I'm going to a new computer next week, so I'm gonna be all messed up, Jim.
Oh man.
I got a whole new system I'm going to. So oh my God. Anyway, folks, we'll be right back after these messages.
When you hear the word asthma, you probably think of shortness of breath, coughing, or inhalers. Lots of things can trigger asthma, but the fact is that asthma doesn't just attack, it can kill. But with proper medical management, asthma is controllable. If you experience shortness of breath, wheezing, tightness in your chest, or persistent nighttime coughing, you may have asthma. See your doctor and get the facts. You'll breathe easier. For more information, call 211-INFO line. A message from the Connecticut Department of Public Health, keeping Connecticut healthy.
You created a business. Now, create videos for your business.
Chocolate nuts is that heavenly coffee, Chocolate nuts is that heavenly coffee. Better coffee a millionaire, money can't buy.
Hi, Grandma. What's for dinner?
Hey, honey, I'm making stew tonight.
Ooh, can Nina come over?
I'm not sure about our new friend. I wonder if there's been any drinking going on. Alcohol at her age can lead to so many bad things. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
This is hard. She's so young, but I know I need to talk to her about it now before someone tries to give her alcohol. If anyone ever does offer you a drink, I want you to say no. I have too much respect for my family, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
Really?
I promise, Grandma.
I love you too.
Okay, how about tasting this stew and telling me what you think?
Some children may try alcohol as young as 9 years old. It's not too early to talk about drinking. For tips on how to begin the conversation, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
If you want to be a frito bandido like me, you do, then you must sing the bandido song. Let's sing together. You just follow the bouncing Fritos corn chips bag. Ay, 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 ay. I am the frito bandido. Hey, I like Fritos corn chips. I love them, I do. I want Fritos corn chips. I'll get them from you. Ay, 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 ay. Oh, I am the frito bandito. Give me Fritos corn chips and I'll be your friend. The Frito Bandido you must not offend. Now, boys and girls, you are Frito Bandidos too. You sing the Frito Bandido song, and you loco for crunchy Fritos corn chips. That's nice. Munch, 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 Fritos corn chips.
Every single time. Oh, we're getting killed.
Yeah, well, Kyle's not here.
How come?
Kicked off the team. Didn't Tim tell you? Kyle and some other kids got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. Zero tolerance. He's out for the season.
Come on, it's a first offense, right?
That we know of. But why should that matter? He knew not to drink. I've made it clear to Matt that's what we expect from him. What have you said to Tim?
Nothing really. You know, a lot of kids tried at this age, so.
Yeah, well, a lot of kids don't try it too. I'm not saying that Matt's going to be the perfect kid, but if I don't tell him what we expect and why he shouldn't drink, how's he going to know?
You think kids that age really listen?
They never admit it, though, but they hear more than you think.
Talk. They hear you. For more information about talking with kids about underage drinking, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning. You're listening to the Mac and Jack Sports Show on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Mac and Jack Sports Show. Today's our Sunday show where we welcome our other co-hosts. So really, it's the Mac, Jack, and Jim big football show here on Sunday, 8 to 10 a.m. Glad you could join us today. We just had Robert Butler on, giving us his commentary, which is always fun. Robert is a unique guest where he just has opinions, and he likes to have a good time, so I love having him on every week. Should have Pags in at 9:10. I mean, I presented it to him, Jim. I said, listen, the Eagles have already played. So I'd like to have you in, but I want you to give a preview on the Washington football team and New York Giants. Now, I don't know if he can stomach that, but that would be interesting to see if he does it or not.
I saw him online on the Philly Flyers doing it. He was painted up as Philly Flyer. I said, he does everything.
He does. He goes everywhere. He'll be down to he'll be in Vegas, for the next game. Him and Captain Jay. I don't know if you watch Captain Jay.
No, I haven't.
He does a show. You don't know Jack about sports. He's right out there too. He runs with the same crowd as Pags. They've known each other for years, and he's out of his mind. That guy. I mean, he's fun. He's fun to watch. So Jim, I talked to Jack about this previously. What's going to happen with the Raiders now? I mean, what does the team do? Does the team? I don't know if you've ever been on any team where the head coach was removed during the year, but being a player in a locker room, what is a team's mindset? Do they go out there and win one, for the new coach and say, hey, we're still good, or is it going to be disorganized? I mean, Gruden ran everything over there. There's no doubt about it. He ran it with an iron fist over there. So, what do you think is going to happen over there in the next? Well, game?
First of all, it happened to me in college. Frank Kush resigned in the middle of my freshman year. So it was difficult to transition to Bob Owens, the defensive coordinator, took over, and he became the head coach. And it was a unique transition, I could say, for the older players, because obviously if you were close to graduating and you were looking forward to the draft, you had to, obviously, they can't worry about things like that. But we did end up playing pretty well for that year, but it is a difficult transition. I think they made the right choice in making Rich Bisaccia the head coach, and the reason is usually special teams touch every part of a team because of the position coach. And Bisaccia knows the defense, he knows the offense. He's been around Gruden too for an extended period of time. And I think that helps keeping the coordinators at their doing what they do and everybody else at their positions. I think they're going to be okay. They might be better. They might run the ball more, yeah, but I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be better because of some of the things Gruden did, and just some of the things that he let. They'll probably run the ball a little bit more, and that'll help them be more successful. Will they win? They'll win some games. Will they make the playoffs? I think they still got a chance to be a wild card team. They got enough talent. I think they're, it's going to be interesting to see how they play today. And but I think they'll be fine.
I'm not talking about the star players here, but it's just my feeling. You would know better than I would. The majority of players have more of a bond with their individual coach. Let's say it's a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, whatever, line coach. I think they have more of a bond with an assistant in most cases, not the head coach. Is that true?
Yes, it is. Pickles asked that I played for Barry Switzer. Yes, I did. But I agree with you. The position coaches make more of an impact on individual players because you meet with them. That's your relationship is with the position coach. So I would agree with that 100%, Jack. Gruden comes in on Wednesday and basically gives you the marching orders and what we see in this game. And then you go to your position meetings and prepare. That's the preparation. And he's just basically manages the group. But the position coaches really teach the group and get them prepared for the game, preparation.
Well, Jim, I agree with all that. I know that, even when I played, you got a better relationship with the direct coaches. But the head coach manages everything from time management to water bottles, to this, to that, when things are scheduled. I mean, I know he's played under Gruden, but we've seen a lot of coaches come up and assistant coaches come up, and during the game they're not prepared for this. And doesn't the head coach set the tone? Doesn't he come out there and give you that whatever attitude the team has? And as far as field management goes, they got to make the decisions during the field on the game time, which a lot of assistants and coordinators have problems with. So don't you expect at least a little bit more errors, or maybe a little bit more, maybe delay of games or penalties or something like that when they actually get under the gun?
I don't think so. And I just remember this from working for Bill Parcells, your favorite coach, obviously. Yeah. But he would always say he doesn't coach players. He coaches coaches. He teaches coaches. And that's the thing. And that's it. Because you're right. What Versace's going to have to do in those crucial situations, he's going to have to make the call. He's got to make the call. And that's the thing that head coaches do. When the defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator says, well, what do you want to do in this situation? The head coach has got to make that call because he's the one who has to sit in front of the media and explain the calls. So that's the thing that Versace's going to have to do. And I really do think he's prepared because if you look at his career, he's been pretty successful. Every place he's been, he's had success. He is a good coach.
Last week, Jim, when you were on the show, I wasn't aware of all the emails that Gruden had out. There was one email, so I backed Gruden, but seeing all these emails, it's really a bad luck for John Gruden. It's what he came out with. I kind of wonder sometimes with behavior codes. Let's say you got an owner who was a rebel, like let's say an Al Davis. Imagine if Al Davis was the owner still of the Raiders and Gruden is his guy and he loves Gruden and refuses to fire him, calls the NFL's bluff. I mean, what goes down in this day and age? Because Al Davis was from a different era, but if he brought that same personality to this era, that would be some explosive situation if you had an owner who just refuses to give in. Does he have to finally buckle because he loses his sponsorship and
Al
money?
Davis
So Gruden would still be the coach if Al Davis was the owner, probably.
There's no doubt.
And what could the NFL do about it? But Roger Goodell wouldn't stand for that either. So what eventually would happen? That would be some tug of war.
It'd be in the court. It'd be in
court. It'd be a court.
Knowing Al Davis, he would have told him because they delayed us. And that's how he felt, that they were outlaws anyway.
Yeah.
But
in fact,
it
he
would have hurt him
will.
in free agency. It would have hurt him, but obviously back then they didn't have a lot of, the end of Al's tenure. They had free agency, but it probably would have hurt him in free agency, but he would have never buckled. I'm just telling you. Mark Davis, I think, there were some things that we don't know. There were more things in them emails than we found out.
There's more gonna come out, Jim. There's no doubt about it.
What bothers me is I understand what happened to Gruden, and I don't condone it. But what about Pash? He's high up in the NFL, and nothing's happened to him. They just basically it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But he was in those emails. Everybody else is taking the brunt of the criticism. But what about the NFL? Why is Pash not getting reprimanded for this?
That's good questions, Jim. We did a whole show on that nonsense. Backstage right now, we got the Philly sports guy, and he did come in to give us a preview of how his rivals in the NFC East are going to win games. I don't believe it. I put it out there. I said, Pags, I want you on. I need you on for the Pags preview, but of course, the Eagles have already played, so there's nothing to preview right now. So Pags is going to tell us how the Giants and the Washington football team is going to win today. This is going to be great. Let's bring up Pags.
Pags.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning, Pags.
You dress like you dress for the games all the time. This is blowing my mind, Pags.
Yeah, sometimes I got to take the paint out of, but I also do this for hockey and basketball and baseball. So, I got to let the hair, so it changes from green to orange. I mean, Friday I was all dressed up in orange and black.
I saw it.
Jim, I just want to say one thing. If Pags dressed like this before the Eagle 49er game, I never would have switched my pick from the 49ers to the Eagles.
Hey, but I helped you with Carolina. You chose us after choosing Carolina, and we won. So,
right. So there you go. There you go. So, Pags, you're in a great position here, and I wanted to see if you'd do it. I offered you come on. Eagles have played. So the two rivals in your division right now, I'm glad we didn't need you for the Dallas preview because, we got Jim here for that if we want to talk to him because I don't know what you would have done then. But so, Giants are on hard times. It looks like Jones is going to play. He's a tough guy. I figured he would. And then Washington's defense is clearly not as good as we thought they were going to be. So what do the Giants have to do to beat the Rams? And don't give me one of these things like get a new team. I want to know how they're going to have a shot to beat the Rams today.
Well, I think that there's a little chance. I think it's going to be a tough game for the Giants. I expect that the fact that they're coming, of course, East Coast, and it's a 1:00 game, and it's like that for both the teams, actually. So, they got Kansas City and the Rams. I don't know how much that really plays, and Jim can maybe attest to that. When you're used to playing at 1:00 or at like 3:00, I guess, or 2:00 in Kansas City, and now have to come back and you have to play in essence at 9:00 in the morning, that there's got to be some part of the routine that gets a little flubbed up there. And in the process, I can imagine that the Rams may be taking this a little bit easy because it's the Giants. They're a little beat up. They don't have a running game right now that they've got, they feel like they may have the Giants right where they want them. They're 4-1. The Giants are 1-4. New York is just not as tough a place to play anymore just because of the way things have been going. I feel like the coaching staff's in a little bit of turmoil. However, when you put all that together and you put that into the bowl of soup and you're a Ram, you could be like, all right, we can just walk through this. And that's what I think could be the downfall of the Rams, that they're overlooking the Giants. And the Giants actually coming out to play and rallying behind their quarterback who really probably shouldn't play this game. I can imagine he barely got through the protocol to get in here because I knew he was a game time decision. So, and he's actually having a pretty good season. So you put that all together, and I think that the Giants would have like a puncher's chance. I don't know that I'd take them. And my expectation is that if they have any chance, I would go with the under in that. That if this becomes a high-scoring game, forget it. The Rams win it easily. When it comes to, did I lose you?
It's a new board, Bags. It's a new board. I got it. Like I was telling Jim, I got a new computer system I'm gonna be trying next week. So I'm gonna be all over the place. So at least you gave the Giants some hope. The Rams take them for granted. DJ throws a couple touchdowns in the end, and we pull it off. If he doesn't get sacked 20 times. So okay, there's a little hope there. Now for Washington to win this week, what do they have to do? I would imagine their defense has to start playing like the way it was supposed to, right?
Well, if you think back to last year, the defense took a while to finally catch up with each other, and they had a moment during a game where somebody, I guess maybe one of the leaders on the team, got really pissed off and started to yell at people. Like they started to have it looked like they were having inner turmoil on the bench, and they wound up turning it around. Now, I feel like something like that's got to happen. I mean, obviously this year you don't have Rivera coming off of, becoming cancer-free, so you don't have that mentality happening and all this other stuff. I got to imagine the drama that's happening within the Redskins or the football team office is starting to take a toll on them. Because you got to answer those questions. People are asking about the culture of the team. Is this what's happening all the way around? Did you get the cheerleaders' email? How did they look? You know what I mean? Those types of questions got to come out. You know what I mean? I got to imagine that they're getting faced with that a lot, not just through the media, from their friends. And that's where it starts to really affect you. The media, sometimes you as a player, I can imagine that you could turn the media off because the media is what the media is. But when you go back home and your wife is asking, so did you get those cheerleaders' emails? And now let me see it. Now, how do you face that? It's one thing when you're talking to a reporter. It's another thing when you're talking to the boss of the house. So, and I got to imagine that this is going to be a really big challenge for them to do. And Kansas City is, fighting to just stay within the division, to just get close to be able to win this division because everybody's starting to pull away. I mean, obviously, I feel like the Raiders are going to start to fall off, but everybody else, so you got the Chargers, and then Denver in there, and they're doing pretty well. So, I mean, it's still, they got to keep pace.
Well, the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs are there for the taking for almost anybody, to tell you the truth. I really don't think the Chiefs are that good this year. I really believe that they've kind of come apart at the seams after getting beat by Tampa in the Super Bowl. I mean, I really don't think they're that good. I think the Chargers are a lot better. I think Denver's probably a little bit better. The Raiders are about even with them. So if there's an upset this week, the Redskins might be able to do something with the Chiefs.
But the thing that I was going to say is my son obviously played in the NFL. He played for Seattle. He played 3 years for Washington. And he would always say that the Washington football team, the front office, was the most disorganized group that he's ever been around. I mean, he obviously, just seeing it, how disorganized that was a couple of years ago before all these things came out. But he always said that they were very disorganized. And maybe they've fixed some of their problems, but they can't fix all those problems overnight. They got some issues in Washington.
And does it really sound like they fixed those problems with everything that's coming out right now?
Exactly.
Let me throw this at you. They did make some meaningful changes, to change the culture. Is this just a question of their past catching up to them? Have they done anything wrong in the last year or two? I mean, maybe they haven't. Maybe they really have turned a new leaf. Maybe Daniel Snyder has taken a backward step. But like I said, these emails from the past, is it coming back to haunt them now?
Mm-hmm. Well, that Snyder's wife is actually
running the team. Yeah, she's running operations right now.
And it looks like she's making changes.
Is she really making the decisions as Daniel Snyder making them? Let's be realistic here.
I don't know, but they've made some positive decisions. But just like you said, their past is haunting them. Their past is really haunting them right now.
Well, Jim, they had no other choice to make them decisions, or Snyder wouldn't own the team anymore after he paid his $11 million fine and everything else. Yeah, and all that hush money to the cheerleaders. I mean, listen, that's
a big question. Let me just ask about the cheerleaders because Jim could answer on this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it true that the Dallas Cowboys used to have a rule the players couldn't date cheerleaders? Correct. Is that all over the NFL? In the case of the Washington Redskins, do you know whether that rule was in place or not?
I'm not sure. But I know that Philly had some of the best looking cheerleaders, and everybody wanted to date them.
Okay, and I'm arguing with Mac on the past show, and Mac wasn't wrong. I mean, hypothetically, if it's a rule that a cheerleader can't date a player, and they do, the cheerleader can be fired with justification. But obviously speaking, you can't have that with a player. If it's the star player dating a cheerleader, the team's not going to cut that player.
But you very rarely, be honest with you, very rarely hear about players dating cheerleaders of their teams. Now, opposite teams they may, but on the teams that they play for, which is, I never figured that one out, but they very rarely, I don't know if any have ever dated cheerleaders from their teams.
Well, if that's what you want to call that, what that was with the Redskin cheerleaders, that's cleaning it up very well.
Right, yeah. I was going to say that makes it really nice because that's not really what happened there.
No, it wasn't.
They were being exploited in a different way.
Yes, they were.
I want to know how come I didn't get CC'd on those emails.
Well, Pax, they CC'd me and I didn't CC you because I knew you getting all kinds of trouble. So
I know nothing about it. I know nothing.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, Pax, thanks for coming in and giving us a preview of the Giants and Redskins. I'm saving this tape for when you do your Philly show, and I'm just going to try and hack in and put this video right as you're talking. How the Giants and the Washington team's going to win. So,
I gave them a real good chance on both sides. You know what I mean? You could use this tape and put it everywhere. You can put this in Times Square, and there we go. They'd be like, the Philly sports guy says the Giants are going to win.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you this: mention Kadarius Toney, the Giants' first-round pick wide receiver. He was electrifying last week before he got kicked out of the game. That was his coming out party. How's Devonta Smith coming along? Is he all that the Eagles were hoping he'd be? Is he going to be an all-pro, a perennial all-pro going forward?
I think so. I mean, he's starting to learn how to get the separation. We're really seeing some of the deficiencies of the passing game from Hurts lately. Like that was the challenge that if he could throw the long ball better, Quez Watkins would have 7 touchdowns already. If he was able to get it out faster and get the ball faster down the field, I think Smith would have a lot more yards than he does. The problem is that he throws these lame ducks out there, and when they get there, the defender is caught up to them, and they don't get him any yards after the catch, and that's going to continue to haunt the Eagles this year. I mean, obviously, Hurts is doing a lot with his legs, but it's not. It's the passing game that's struggling, and of course, we don't run the ball, so we can't rely on that either. So I think that Smith is going to do really well in this league, and I have a feeling that as we go further along this season, it's going to be apparent that we're going to need a quarterback who can actually have some arm strength. Well, and I guess my question more for Jim. Can a quarterback really learn and hone the arm strength on throwing the ball? Because I felt that was a problem that McNabb had, that when he got stronger, the ball just went down to the turf faster. His motion changed, and because he was stronger, he was throwing the ball into the ground. Is it possible that Hurts can learn the arm strength and keep the motion right? Or is that something that maybe asking too much?
It's me, just watching the quarterbacks that I played in over the years. I think that is very unusual if they can improve the arm strength. What you have to do is play to their abilities. And we know, just like that, you said that Hurts struggles with the long passes. if he struggles now, he'll always struggle with him. That's really hard to improve your arm strength.
Let me tell you, Jim, you don't have to have incredible arm strength to be a great quarterback. Joe Montana is a perfect example of that. What you got to do is lead the receiver, and you got to know when to throw the ball and the timing. And once Hurts learns to get rid of the ball before the receiver makes his break or 10 yards before he's supposed to be where he's supposed to be, he'll improve the long ball. But you don't have to.
Here's the thing. Is that technique or is that improving the strength?
That's not improving the strength at all. That's the technique, right? You gotta know when to let the ball go. Yeah, definitely. So to be a great quarterback, you look at Peyton Manning, you look at Joe Montana. You don't have to have incredible arm strength to do that.
Other than Montana, Manning was a big guy. You know, Peyton Manning was a big guy, and some of these guys were big guys that could have the great arm strength, and they could throw the ball a mile. Some of them, like Montana, they were all what it was timing. He could get out. He knew where he was going to take it and things that he knew. He probably, Jerry Rice, where is he most dangerous? On those slant routes.
From seams, big time.
But Montana also had, he had a quick release, and the ball looked great when it came. Yes. It wasn't wobbling. So there was a lot of difference between what Montana is, and the fact that we're comparing Hurts to Montana is world apart.
We're not. We're just talking.
Compare him to Doug Flutie.
But anyway, what we're saying is the system that Montana was in, you didn't have to have strong arm strength. You had to make quick reads. You had to put the ball out in front of him at the right place, and that's what Hurts would need to do if he's gonna start throwing a long, if you want to call it a long ball. Yeah. That's what he would have to do. Well, Pags, we got to let you go, man, because we got to get to the games. Jack took me down the road because he wanted to start talking about the Eagles, and now we're gonna have to rush through the games. Jack does this to me all the time. Pags, thanks for coming in. We'll see you next week.
I think the Patriots beat the Cowboys too.
Well, hey, there you go. Why not? Why not?
I know it's a big surprise to Jim.
Have a good one, Pags. We'll talk to you later,
guys.
All right, bye-bye. So there you go, Pags preview. Tried to get him in here to preview Washington and the Giants, and of course, it goes right down a different road. And now we're gonna have to rush through our games, but. Living with Jack, almost a year now, me and Jack have been together. It's pretty close now.
I'm going to keep it short in my preview.
Well, you're going to have to,
do a little cake with an anniversary cake with a little candle on it.
Yeah, we're going to have to do that. So Jack, with total disregard for any kind of format, and he just keeps the show. I'm on my toes all the time. So now I will adjust, and we'll do our game.
Called an audible, Mac. I like
an audible. Yeah, you want to keep Pags on to talk about the Eagles. Already played. It's done. Who cares right now? We'll worry about the Eagles when they play next week. So anyway, let's go ahead and let's start getting to the games, right? As Jack corrected me, was correct. We got Miami playing Jacksonville at Jacksonville. Miami's favored by 3. Guys, I think Jacksonville gets their first win this week. What do you think?
I actually agree with you. Tua's coming back. He might be a little bit rusty this game. And I think very quickly with Brian Flores, I think the Dolphins overachieved last year due to his great job he did. And they're not as good as we thought they might be. And I think Jacksonville does upset him. Big game for Trevor Lawrence.
What do you think, Jim?
I think Miami's going to win, but it's going to be close. It might be at one point, by a field goal or it'll be within the 3, but I'm gonna go with Miami.
Okay, great. We got the Chargers going to Baltimore. The Chargers going to Baltimore. They're favored by 3.5. I think it's a great place for San Diego to get their second loss. I like Baltimore here at home. What do you think, Jack?
I'm going to go with the Chargers. I mean, Lamar Jackson has, in my book at least, has been the MVP of the season so far. He's willed his team to 2 victories. I mean, but he's meeting his match at quarterback as good as he is in Justin Herbert. And the Chargers, something about him this year, I really like the run that they're on. And Baltimore can't keep pulling out these miracle victories the way they did a couple of them this year. I'll go with the Chargers to edge them out in the thriller.
I agree with Jack. I think the Chargers are going to win. And I think the Chargers defense, they talk about the Rams defense. I think the Chargers have probably one of the best, if not the best defenses in the NFL. And I think, like Jack said, I mean, Lamar's been doing this with mirrors. I don't know how he does smoke and mirrors. I don't know how he does it, but I think it's going to catch up to him this game, and I'm going to go with the Chargers.
I'm feeling pretty good this week. I got both of them disagreeing with me on the first two games. Minnesota going to Carolina. Minnesota's favorite, believe it or not. I like Carolina's defense as good as I like Minnesota's, maybe better. I think Sam Darnold bounces back. I think Carolina wins this one. What do you think, Jack?
I don't think Sam Darnold's so good with bounce back games. Christian McCaffrey's out. That's the main weapon. And without him, Sam Darnold's just another guy. And but you want to know something? I still think Carolina wins the game. They still have an elite defense, and I think they get it done. They win by a field goal over Minnesota.
Jim, what do you got?
I'm going to go with Minnesota. And the reason I'm not a Kirk Cousins fan, as you know, but I think Minnesota has got to win this game to stay within reach of Green Bay. I don't think they'll beat them, but to keep that second place. So I'm going to go with Minnesota.
And speaking of Green Bay and Chicago with a young quarterback, they've won the last two games. I think it is. Green Bay is favored by only 4.5 at Chicago. I don't know what the Vegas odds maker we're looking at here. Green Bay should win this to me going away. So I'll take Green Bay minus the 4.5.
You know, what an amazing game last week with Green Bay and Cincinnati with Mason Crosby, missing all those kicks. And but listen, Aaron Rodgers versus Justin Fields. I mean, come on. I mean, Justin Fields is coming along nicely in the few games he's had. But Green Bay's just a better team than Chicago. They should win by 10 points or so.
I disagree. I think this is going to be closer than we think. I think Chicago, Justin Fields is getting better, fellas. I mean, the first game he had 9 sacks against him. And you notice him in the next 2 games, how much he's taking control of that offense. I don't know. We might have underestimated. I don't think they'll beat Green Bay, but they're going to give Green Bay a battle. And they've always, Chicago and Green Bay has been one of those games. It's been a rugged game, and they don't like each other. So I say it's going to be a close one with Green Bay maybe winning it at the end.
You think they'll go within the 4.5 points?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's
okay.
What I'm saying.
Cincinnati against Detroit is probably – I think if Detroit just played the fourth quarter, if the games were just the fourth quarter, Detroit might have a winning record, right? I mean, they come back in the fourth quarter, whether the other team takes the foot off the gas or not, I don't know. But Detroit seems to play a great fourth quarter. They're going up against Cincinnati. Cincinnati is favored by 3.5 points at Detroit. I don't see Cincinnati taking its foot off the pedal. I think, I think Burrows tears Detroit up. I'm going to take Cincinnati in this game.
Detroit, what are they, 0-5? They could easily have 3 wins. And Dan Campbell, their coach, was really emotional after the last press conference. And if the players truly like Dan Campbell, they're going to pick up on him crying at the post-fight press conference. And they're really going to want to win this game bad, of course, for themselves first. And I think they edge out Cincinnati. They find a way to win the game. The game's in Detroit. I think they somehow get it done.
Jack using the crying technique for Detroit to pull this up. What do you think, Jim?
I think and Jack does make a good point. They do like Dan. Dan is a very likable guy, and there's a lot of emotion that's going to be in it. But I just think Cincinnati, their arrow is going up. I really do. I think Cincy wins, and Dan gets to cry another week, unfortunately.
I just hope he doesn't start singing or something next year.
The emotion stuff is good, but the Burrow to Chase combination, I guess, is even better.
I think
it could be.
A bit talented.
Okay, so we go to Houston, getting 10 against the Colts. I've already ripped Carson Wentz. I think the Houston Texans have a shot at beating this team. How's that, guys? I'm going way on a limb here. I like Houston getting 10 at the Colts. What do you think?
Now, Carson Wentz will be like a bully. He's going to play like an all-star against the Houston Texans, and they're going to say, oh, Carson Wentz, how good he looked. This is Carson Wentz's week to look really good. The Colts win this game easy. They roll over the Texans. They beat them by a good 3 touchdowns. And it doesn't mean Carson Wentz is back and on, but if he ever needs a confidence boost, this is the week to get it.
What do you think? What do you think?
I have to agree with Jack.
Yes, I'm feeling good. I am feeling good this week, folks.
I agree with Jack. I think I started thinking about it. I thought the Texans would be closer, but I just think that Indianapolis is going to get after him, and it's going to give Wentz a 1 week confidence. Then he'll be back to normal next week. But I have to agree with him. I don't think it's going to be 3 touchdowns. I think they'll get the spread. What is it, 10.5?
Yes.
So,
we're moving along nicely, Mac. If Jim could just answer this quickly. The John Gruden situation, it came out quick. They made a decision. What the heck is going on with Deshaun Watson one way or the other? I mean, this has been lingering on forever.
That's a totally different discussion.
That is a totally different one.
Right. But I'm just saying he's on the roster. Technically, they have him inactive. But, okay, yeah, you're right. Different discussion for another time.
Jack, I don't know what's going on with that situation because it has been dragging out.
That's illegal. That's a whole thing over. That's a whole can of worms that the NFL ain't going to step in until they try to play him. I guarantee you that.
Yes.
The Rams are favored by 10.5 against the Giants. Even though Paz gave me hope, I'm going to have to take the Rams. I don't think the Giants can stay with the Rams at all. What do you think, Jack?
This is what I think. I'm going to have the TV on, but I'm going to be doing other things while the game is happening because I know it's inevitable the Rams are going to win big, this game. And, the Rams arguably are the best balanced team in the NFL. You take it position for position. It doesn't mean they're going to win the Super Bowl, but their balance is outstanding. I mean, they're just better than the Giants. They should win by 20 points.
Stop, Jack. Stop, please. Go ahead, Jim. What do you think?
Rams will win, but they won't win. They won't cover the spread.
Ooh. All right.
The Giants will keep it close. Rams are coming all the way across country. And, they're going to see those bright lights in New York. They're not going to blow the Giants out.
Jim, speaking as a New Jersey guy, came back to us. I knew he would. He's coming back slowly. I'm bringing him back. Jack, I'm bringing them back. All right. So we got Kansas City at Washington. Kansas City by 6.5. I think if Washington, I think they could pull an upset here. I don't think Kansas City's all that good. Tyreek Hill is playing today, guys, but he's still hurt. Listen, if the Washington defense is going to make a statement, this is the game, right? They're at home. You got the Super Bowl team from 2 years ago, a participant last year. Why not? I'm going to go with Washington at least covering 6.5.
Kansas City has a bad defense that's been playing bad. Washington has a good defense that's been playing bad. So how do you figure this out? I mean, when you have a game like this in both, Kansas City's in a desperate situation, I feel. And I put my trust in Patrick Mahomes. And with everything going on in Washington, the distractions, Heineke, their quarterback, you got to go with the Chiefs in this situation.
This is scary because, Jack, I was going to say the same thing. I think Kansas City is in a situation where they have to win. I think that they're going to get after Washington. Washington's defense is struggling. They are talented, but they're struggling. But I think the problem is that Washington cannot score enough points to stay with Kansas City. I think Mahomes is going to score quite a few today. And I think that that's the issue. It's not that, that they're that much better than Washington. It's more or less that they can score points, and Washington can't.
Yeah, well, Kansas City can't stop people from scoring points either, Jim. So here we go. Listen, Pickles is KC by 22, and Buck Flair goes with me with the Washington email team upset special. It's a new plate that they serve in Washington, so that's great. So let's get to Arizona, -3 at Cleveland. Cleveland's offensive tackles, from what I read, are both going to be out. Baker has that torn ligament in his shoulder he's been playing with. Arizona's flying high. I heard they got some injuries too. I'm just going to take Arizona. That's all. I got no reason. I think Arizona will outscore Cleveland.
You know, we're not talking about Cliff Kingsbury, the Arizona head coach, being out. We're talking about John Gruden. Jim could answer more how that would affect the team. He's out because of the COVID situation. There's no controversy hanging over that. And Jim could also answer Zach Ertz. I mean, is he going to be any type of factor? Can you just rush to another team, even though you're very experienced tight end, and play any type of role in this type of game? I got to feel that Arizona suffers their first loss in this spot.
I agree, Doug. I agree with you, Jack. But here's the thing. First of all, Zach Ertz can't play because he played Thursday night.
Right.
The problem.
I didn't consider that. Great point. Yeah, great point.
The problem is
should he be allowed to play?
Should he be allowed to play?
Should he be allowed just because he played Thursday?
No, he hasn't even learned the offense. He knows where he's supposed to align. But Kyler Murray was limited this week with a shoulder injury, a right shoulder injury, and that's the thing. And when you go against obviously Cleveland and that defense, you're going to get hit. So that's the thing. And then plus, without Kingsbury there, and I think Chandler Jones, and they have two other support staff that are not there, I think that makes more of an emphasis because this offense is unique, and Cliff knows the offense better than anybody else on that staff. So I'm with you. I think Cleveland's going to beat the Cardinals this week. I don't think they'll be able to suffer some of the things. And your best pass rusher, I know everybody's going to say J.J. Watts, but Chandler Jones has been your best pass rusher. I think that Cleveland's going to get after him in the dog pound.
Well, here we go. I mean, listen, the viewers are all over the place. They're all disagreeing. Cardinals by 4. Browns win. Pack said, can Zach even play? Let me finish. Can Zach Ertz even play? I don't know if he means in general, can he play or not, or if it's the game he's talking about. Because
is it a rule? That's what I was going to ask. I don't know the answer.
I think there's COVID protocol, and I think there's a couple things that was stopping him from that. Cardinals will win. Chris, thanks for joining us, Chris. Yeah. And Arizona always wins in a close game. So I don't know if that's true. It depends on how far back you go about the Cardinals. So anyway, so let's get back to the picks here. We got Vegas and Denver. We talked about this, how this will affect the Raiders. Denver hasn't been playing as good as they did in the beginning, guys. I'm serious there. I mean, they're having their problems over there. I'll take the 3 points. That's the only reason why I'll take Vegas here. I think they play well enough to maybe even beat Denver. I don't think Denver's a great team. They're good, and I think the Raiders are the same, so I'll take the points.
It's a toss-up game. The game being in Denver, I'll give them a tiny edge, for that reason. If the game was in Vegas, maybe I'd go the other way, Close game. Teddy Bridgewater coming off the concussion. We don't know how effective he's going to be. And I give a little tiny lean towards Denver.
I'm going to go with the Raiders. I think with all the issues, the Raiders are used to things like this, chaos. They play better with chaos because that's what they do. I think the Raiders, Waller's going to have a big game. I think Darren Waller is going to be a big game this week. And I just think, is Josh Jacob back this week? If he's back.
I haven't read that he was or not. I didn't see anything on him.
Yeah, because I know he's been injured. If he's back, they're definitely going to win the game. But it's going to be a good game, and it's going to be close. But I think the Raiders pull it out.
Okay, there you go. So Jim finally agrees with me on one. I thought I was losing, but that's all right. He's back with me again. Dallas -4 over New England. Listen, Keith was on, and he wasn't as confident as I think he should have been for a guy who covers the Patriots. He didn't give us the whole breakdown. He just said, hey, maybe. Listen, I'm taking Dallas big time over New England this week. That's all I know. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, Dallas has too many weapons. I mean, just compare New England's receiving core doesn't compare to Dallas's. Their running game doesn't compare to Dallas's. New England's offensive line is injured, a bit of a mess right now. Doesn't isn't quite as good as Dallas is. Their quarterback, Mac Jones, is coming along nicely. He doesn't compare to Zach Prescott at this stage in his career. I mean, how does New England win it? They get some turnovers. The special teams do anything. Dallas should win this game with some room to spare.
What do you think, Chip?
I think that everything you guys have said. I think Dallas is going to win this game, but it's going to be an interesting game because we're going to see how Dallas performs on the road in a hostile place. And New England has the last couple of years. The last time Dallas won in New England was 1996. That's the last time Dallas has won in New England. I think this is an opportunity, and they will win. And I think they'll cover the spread. But it's going to be some kind of scary moments because Dallas hasn't controlled. They've done everything on offense, but they've also turned the ball over quite a bit. And that scares me going against a team like New England in Foxborough. If they turn the ball over, it's going to be a rough day. They got to make sure they can hold the ball and don't give any momentum to New England. I think definitely that.
Jim, but isn't it a difference? If they were playing in December, wouldn't New England's chances be increased in this game as opposed to playing in October?
No question. But
I agree with that big time.
No question. But I just think Dallas is a better team. And I think Mac Jones is going through the learning curve, like we talked about with young quarterbacks. And that's the thing. And he'll be a really good quarterback, but it's going to take time.
All right, so we got looks like Seattle +5 at Pittsburgh. We still have there's no Wilson and Pittsburgh and getting 5 points at Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh wins this by a touchdown. I don't know about you guys. What do you think, Jack?
Now, is Geno Smith really going to come into Pittsburgh and get a win there? I mean, it's possible. He's been around a while. I think these are two teams that we look at their names, their brand names. They're in the playoffs year after year. And I think when in the new wave of the NFL, where some of the weaker teams are getting better, like the Chargers, and they're going to be a big force going forward, I think it's in with the new, out with the old. And I think the old are the Seahawks and the Steelers. And I'm not impressed with either team, really, even though I'm impressed with Mike Tomlin big time. I think the Steelers win this game. It'll be a drab game, but they get it done, like something like 21-17.
Very possible.
What's happening around the NFL is there's this new band coming out, the former Jets quarterbacks. Geno Smith is another. He's a part of that. But I think what you said, I think in Pittsburgh, the Steelers are going to win, and they're going to win pretty good. I think without Wilson on that team, because they don't have a lot of things on there. They do it mostly on emotion, how hard they play. But I just don't think they have enough talent. Their defense is struggling for Seattle. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh to win this and cover.
I would love Jamal Adams back.
Let's get to Buffalo and Tennessee last game. We're looking at Buffalo is favored by 3.5 against Tennessee. I mean, I know Buffalo's eventually got to lose another game. They're not going to only have one loss this year. I don't see it happen in Tennessee. I think Buffalo beats Tennessee easily. What do you think, Jack?
Not easily. I think it's going to be a very tough game. I mean, Buffalo doesn't have that good of a running game themselves. And, of course, Derrick Henry is the best running back in the NFL, next to Lamar Jackson, of course, who's not an official running back. And, I think it's a tight game, a tough game. I think it'll be somewhat high scoring, like 26-23 Buffalo.
I didn't know if you guys realized that Buffalo has the number 3 ranked
running game. The run defense.
And run defense in the NFL. I think, bro, they're going to control the Tennessee's running game, and I don't think their defense is really struggling in Tennessee. I think Buffalo's going to get after them. I think Buffalo I just think that it's going to be not the game we thought close. It's going to be a Buffalo win. I think Buffalo's a better team.
Well, guys, let's get to our top 3. We've gone through them. I hope you're prepared for this. I'll give you mine first. I think Carolina, I'm going to take them with the 1.5 at home versus Miami. I like Cincinnati minus 3.5 at Detroit. And I like Buffalo minus 3.5 at Tennessee. So those would be my top 3 picks this week. Jim, you got something off the top of your head? Because Jack is still figuring out the square root of 8 over there. What do you got?
I think my top 3 picks are obviously Buffalo and Tennessee. I think what do we have Dallas at in New England at 4?
Yeah, 4.5.
Dallas will beat them at 7 by 7. And there was one more that I liked. Cincinnati and Detroit. Detroit's going to play hard. So I like Cincinnati and Detroit with Cincinnati winning it close.
Okay. And Jack, you got your top 3?
You're taking Cincinnati with the giving the points, are you saying, or you're taking Detroit with the 3.5?
I'm taking Detroit to be close to the 3.5 for Cincinnati.
Okay, that was one of my picks. I'm also taking the Rams and giving the 10.5 points to the Giants, and I'm taking Cleveland and giving the 2.5 points to Arizona.
Well, that sounds like sounds like good picks there, Jack.
But the Giants were my underdog pick.
Well, wait a minute. Yeah, don't jump ahead of the schedule here, guy. Don't jump it. And Jack, what is the square root of 8? While you get a chance, as I'm bringing us up to our underdog pick, folks, and this is how that goes.
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
When criminals in this world appear and break the laws that they should fear and frighten all who see or hear, the cry goes up both far and near for underdog, underdog, underdog.
In my opinion, that should have won an Academy Award. That's the greatest cartoon ever made. And so we're going to give our underdog picks. Guys, I'm going to take Houston plus 10 against the Colts. Carson Wentz will be crying with the Detroit head coach. They're going to have a dual conferences. They'll both be shedding tears, thinking about what could have happened. So that's going to be my pick. I'm going to take Houston plus 3 against the Colts. What do you got, Jack?
Well, no one's that big. The few teams that are big underdog, I mean, is Tennessee, you could get 5.5 against Buffalo, right? Is that what it is?
Say again?
And I take Tennessee at 5.5 points.
No, Jack, we've done this for almost a year. 6 points.
But I don't like any of these.
I know you don't, Jack, but you got to pick the best.
But I got to pick the best of the group. It's not going to be the Giants. Washington is 7-point underdog against the Chiefs. Are they eligible for that? Because then they'll be my underdog pick.
Right, yeah, 6 points.
The Washington football team is my underdog pick against the Chiefs.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jim. What do you got? I hope you understand this better than Jack. It's been a year, and I still explain. Okay.
The Giants are 10.5, minus 10 again, 10.5 against the Rams. I'm picking the Giants to be the underdogs. They're not going to win the game, but they're going to make it. Nobody's really, other than Dallas, has blown the Giants out.
It's true. Very true.
Football Giants.
I mean, listen. I think that Washington plus 6.5 isn't a bad underdog pick either, as was said. And I'm telling you, Buck, if you say Mighty Mouse is better than underdog one more time, I'm blocking you. That is not up for debate. Thank you, Pags. Thank you. All right, so there you go. So, yeah, you don't come on my show and you do not come on my show and insult underdog ever. I mean that should have won an Emmy at least. So anyway, we got about 6 minutes left. Jim, you got any thoughts about any of these losing teams in the locker room? You've been on both sides of the ball. You've been on a terrible team. You've been on a great team. And I don't really think they're terrible. It's just the team hasn't got their stuff together. What's the differences in the locker room right now? 5-1 as opposed to 1-5.
It's just what kind of team it is. Just like we've mentioned earlier in the show, is Atlanta. Atlanta has some leadership, and I really think Arthur Smith, is showing great leadership. I don't think they're a great team, but they play in the division where they could be second in that division because of the problems with New Orleans, obviously, and other teams. But I think Atlanta is a team that's on the up. Then you have teams that may be struggling because of just the leadership in the locker room and on the field. I know Pags is going to kill me for this, but I think Philly's one of those teams. They could go either way, but because of the leadership in their locker room, and that's the thing. And their coaching is a little bit questionable. I think their coaching there, Jacksonville, all the stuff that's going on in Jacksonville off the field is affecting them on the field. And that's why I don't pick them to beat Miami today. I think Urban Myers is a very good coach, but he's got a firestorm right now, and he's got to figure out a way to get everybody on his side.
You know, we're not with these teams as a collective group. We don't really know what their attitude is. A team could be 1-5, but if they have a throwback to when they were kids and just played a game and had fun playing it, if they're having fun playing the game still, the standings will work itself out. You know, you win a game one week, another week, and maybe something good is starting to happen. But if you're just thinking, oh, we can't possibly go to the Super Bowl, the year's over, and have that depressed attitude, then it's going to be a long season.
You make a good point, Jack, but the problem is I'm going to tell you about professional football. When you're losing as opposed to winning, losing hurts more. Your body hurts. You find aches and pains you never knew you had. I'm telling you, right. I felt a lot better when we were winning Super Bowls than when we were 1-15. Trust me. My body, I was wondering, what is going on?
Jim, one more question before we split. Byron Williams brought up a great point. And it's not, sometimes it's not just the coaches, it's the leaders on the team. You got to have a couple of leaders that kind of keep you in line, that pump you up, that keep you in check, to make sure that the team is running right. And good coaches find those leaders and kind of put them to the forefront, where other coaches have problems with that. You know, before Tom Coughlin did that with the Giants, they were going through some rough times. And then he got himself a committee, which he should have done from the beginning, and let them talk to the players. Because you're going to listen to a guy that you kind of respect, that you play alongside, maybe even a little better than this coach is barking at you, right? So, I mean, is that very much a key to a team, winning or staying?
And that's what I was talking about. Different teams have different leadership in the locker room. And when you have strong leader, alpha dogs, then you have a possibility of turning your season around. That's why I said so much about Atlanta. They have some alpha dogs on that team. Matt Ryan is a great leader. He might not be what he was a couple years ago, but you see his leadership qualities. If you watch how he talks to those young receivers between plays, you never see him yell or scream at them. He explains. He teaches. And that's what makes that team dangerous. And that's why they're having a little bit of success. Dan Campbell has those things. He's not in the locker room, but he's surrounding that team with leadership kind of guys. They play hard, just like things. Detroit plays hard. And it can't be all the time the coaches. They got some strong personalities in that locker room. You have to have those strong personalities to be successful.
I mean, there's no doubt Tom Brady's a leader. There's no doubt on the defensive side of the ball. They got some guys over there. I'm trying to remember the defensive ends. They're very strong guys, and they'll call you out if they got it. But most of the times they're encouraging you. Most times they're picking you up. And I think on any team that's very successful, as you said, and as Byron has said, a lot of it comes from the leaders on the player leaders on the team. So
they have the pulse of the team.
Yes, definitely. Folks, I want to thank you. A very interactive show today with you guys out there, the viewers. We love that. We love having the big football show because me, Jack, and Jim have a ball doing this with our guests. Appreciate you coming in. Enjoy the games today. We'll be back Thursday, 8 to 10 a.m. through Sunday. Be sure to check out J&B Talking Shop. That's on YouTube, Northeast Streaming Sports, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Guys, have a great Sunday, and we'll see you soon.
Don't forget Jack's boxing show now. We got to make sure.
Sunday night, and the Jets will not lose today. I guarantee it.
Yeah, the Jets
have a bye.
That's right. Exactly. So that was a sucker bet for anybody who took it. Again, and Jim mentioned Jack's boxing show as the promos out there Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Your show too.
We already did that, Jack. I know you don't listen to me at all, but we already promoted it.
No, giving an additional.
That's messing with you. Guys, we got to go. Have a great Sunday.